This is an introduction to principles and practices of management. So we shall be learning what managers are taught, what they do, the principles they use when managing a business or an institution, an organization, what they are applying. It's applicable. When you learn these things, it becomes easier for you. So we start with the definition. So management is the process of getting things done through people who are formal. So when someone called Follett defined management as the art of getting things done through people. So it has also so many definitions. One is the process of planning, decision making, leading, motivating, organizing resources of a company or an organization. This could be people, finances. This could be physical or assets of the business, how you manage that, how you also manage information flow, falls under management. Management can also be said to be the act of getting people to accomplish desired goals. The way you deal with people and control them so that they're able to help you in meeting the company's objectives. We also have a definition of principles of management. So principles of management will involve activities, operations that involves materials, machines, people, how you work with all these, how you combine all these operations to make sure that you are achieving the goals of the company or the objectives of the company. That's what we'll be learning, principles and practices of management. We also have reasons why for learning these principles of management. One is to be able to attain goals. This could be social goals, to be able to utilize materials you have, the people you have around you, how you're able to make sure that you are meeting the objectives of the business. It also helps you in increasing efficiency. The business becomes more efficient when it is managed well. You're also able to nurture and be able to train and even provide a framework of how work should be done in the office or in the business. It also improves in research and be able to be in a position where you can apply group dynamics in handling situations in the office. That's what we refer to as the principles of management and the reasons as to why we learn these things: to increase efficiency, to also be able to apply group dynamics, applying research in group dynamics, to be able to attain goals, even social goals, and to be able to also increase efficiency in the office. Management can be either an art, can be said to be an art or a science. It being regarded as a science means it has principles that are universally accepted. It also being a science means that it affects relationships between people. It being a science also means that the body of knowledge that you learn has some truth in it that is applicable universally. It also has traits that can be taught and in class, so it's something you can learn. Some managers have become good by learning. Management also as a science means that some observations have been done of how people behave, how people deal with people, and there is proof that applying some principles or some ideas that have been maybe invented before, you are able to maybe become a better manager. It also can be regarded as a science because of the alternatives you maybe pick and how you evaluate, how you examine those alternatives in solving a problem. The factors you apply is something you also can be regarded as a science. You are applying some knowledge that is scientifically proven. People also argue that management is an art. So it can also be regarded as an art because it requires some creativity. Some people will argue that management is something you are born with. It could be inborn. Other people say it is something that could be a talent or a gift. So those are some of the reasons as to why people either regard management as a science or as an art. We also have the definition of a manager. A manager is a person who is in charge of something. A manager is someone who is responsible for a company. It could be a department. It could be a section of the department. This person is referred to as a manager. He guides people. He helps in making decisions. He's like the person in charge. So that's the person we refer to as a manager. The person in charge of a department or an organization or a section of a group, we refer to them as a manager. Qualities of a good manager. These are some of the qualities of a good manager. A manager should have some technical knowledge. A manager should have self-confidence. A manager should have some leadership skills. A manager should be intelligent. He should have gone to school and maybe learned a few things. A manager should be, educated in managerial issues. So these are some of the qualities of a good manager. He should also have some foresight, being able to see the future, and making decisions that are having the future in mind. Those are the qualities of a manager. Then we have contributions of management. So management, that idea of management started long time before most of us were born. So it is as a result of some factors. These are some of the people who made so much impact in how management is done even at the current times. We have ancient history. This could be how Babylon and Egypt used to work. That is also we have to learn something from them. We also have during the Roman Empire, that time, a lot happened that is also applicable even now. Other people who've also brought so much into management is the Roman Catholic Church, how they manage their church and the big organization in worldwide. We also learn a lot from them. We also have the military during the World War, how they would organize their troops. It's also something we can learn. The Bible also has Moses, how a lot is written about him at the time of managing the Israelites. These are the civilizations that are old, that have evidence that management used to happen even before. It's only that we are now doing it formally, but it's something that has been there before. So we also have levels of management. There are 3 levels of management. We have top management. We also have middle management. And we also have a lower level of management. These are the 3. So the first one is more of strategic management kind. So you are more of planning strategically, and it involves maybe 10 years, 8 years. The duration is long for the top management. Middle management is more of tactical level of management. It could be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, this tactical level. You are looking at the strategic level of management and adjusting your 1 year or 2 year time frame to meet the strategic. And then we have so this is like 2 years or 3. This is more than 3 years, 5, 10. And then that is a lower level management. It's more of the day-to-day operations, weekly day-to-day operations. This is geared towards meeting this. And then this is geared towards meeting the level that is strategic. So strategic comes first, followed by tactical, and then the lower level, which is day-to-day operations. Early contributions of management are normally categorized into 2. So we have one called classical school of management, and the second is behavioral school of management. There are 2: classical school of management and behavioral school of management. We shall start with the classical school of management. So that's so we start by classical school of management. So that classical is divided also into 2. So we have the scientific approach under classical, and administrative approach also under classical. So we have a classical scientific approach and classical administrative approach. This classical school of management came about during the Industrial Revolution, when factories started coming into being. Long time ago, when factories were now coming into the world, when people had now started working with factories for tea, factories for coffee, factories for making clothes, all these factories and industries. That's the revolution, that's the time frame when this classical school of management came into being. So some of them were not so good in English. So the idea was to come up with the best way of doing something. How a manager would handle people under him in a factory, to look for the best way of performing a task so that productivity can be higher in the factory. And there are 2: classical scientific approach and classical administrative approach. We shall start with the classical scientific approach. So the idea is to increase productivity and getting to know the best way to accomplish a task, as you look at the people you are having, your workforce, and the skills they are bringing to the table. So you look for the best way. And its contributors are 3. Frederick Taylor is our contributor, Henry Kant, and a couple called Frank and Lillian. So these are the 3 contributors to what we shall be learning under classical scientific approach. We start with Frederick Taylor. This is he is known as the father of scientific management. He is believed to have contributed so much into what we even do, even in current times. He believed that organizations had to have some procedures of doing something. He came from Bethlehem, and he was working at a steel company long time ago, 1898, in Bethlehem. So the company was they were doing iron. They were dealing with iron, offloading into rail cars. They brought about the idea of correcting movements, the tools they use, the procedures they work with. That's what Frederick Taylor is known for, a major contributor to what managers apply even in now. So that steel company, as a result of his input, and he was able to raise the tonnage they would work with from 12.5 tons to 47. That's a very big improvement. What did he do? He redesigned the shovels they were using. He also looked at the number of people handling those shovels. So the designing of the tools they're using, the equipments they're using, coming up with new ways of doing things and how to arrange people. He was able to bring in so much productivity. He also brought about the issue of incentive, how you pay workers. You pay workers by their productivity, not having to pay them a standard figure every evening. You pay them according to the productivity they are bringing to the company. So if they are carrying iron sheets from one spot to another, you look at each person's productivity. How much has each brought? And then you now pay them as per the productivity of every person. That makes people that are working to be more motivated, because they now know that payment is not a flat rate, but it's more of the pieces the work I also give to the organization. So his contributions and what we even do even now in current times. So he brought about the issue of studying jobs. You study a job to know the best way to perform that job. What are the skills that this person should have? What level of education should this person have? What experience should the person doing a certain job have? That's what we regard to as studying of jobs. He also brought about the idea of selecting of workers. You look at the worker you want to choose and look for our strategy of getting to select the best person. Their people skills, learning, trustworthy, experience. You look at all this, how they even handle people. Some jobs require people who are strict. Other jobs require people who are smiley. Other jobs require people who are serious. Other jobs require people who are talkative. So you look at even someone's personality, other than just their education and their strength physically. You also look at their personality. He also brought about the idea of financial incentives, where you pay people as per the pieces they have maybe carried. If it's iron they are carrying from the rail to the factory, you count per piece and you pay them as per. So each person carrying any piece of iron is recorded. So at any given time you're able to know so and so has carried 20, this other one has carried 19, this other one has carried 16. So at the time of payment you will pay them per piece. He also brought about the idea of training. Every once in a while it's good to also do some training. So companies even now have to have some budget where they do some training, take people for workshops, seminars, to at least have them learn a few skills and learn from those that are ahead of them. He also brought about the idea of separating work, people that are doing the work and people who are planning. He came about with the idea that managers should be only planning and then the doers should be the workers under them. So planning has to be done, supervision has to be done by someone who is not only the boss or the manager, but is also monitoring what they are doing, what every worker is doing. He's also known to have brought the idea of cooperation. There should be some friendly, formal friendship of some kind between managers and their subordinates. He also brought about the idea of studying movements and the best way to perform tasks by checking how someone is arranging their work, the equipments, and the time frame they're using. So he also brought about the idea of promoting people who are more productive and laying off those that are not productive. So the idea of promoting, demoting, transferring, hiring, firing, all those things were brought about by Frederick Taylor. He also brought about the idea of creating a condition, an environment that is conducive for workers to work. Those are the contributions of Frederick Taylor that are even applicable in modern times. Our second person was Henri Gantt. So I know you may have come across Gantt chart. in system analysis and design or in operating system. So Gantt chart was brought about by someone called Henri Gantt. He also was of the idea of studying the tools you use, studying the time, the volume you spend, and all these things were brought about by Gantt. You do the planning with a graph. It's a graph. You come up with a plan of what you'll be doing at every stage of production. This helps you to organize yourself in terms of time, and also to know what is needed where and what should come before what as you do your tasks in the office. It's a very common. If you've forgotten what Gantt chart is, you can check the system analysis notes or the operating system notes. Henri Gantt is also known to have contributed to issues of bonuses. He brought about the idea of bonuses, where you pay employees not only the salary, but you also add a bonus of the people who meet a certain time frame. So yeah, the idea of bonus and the idea of the Gantt chart. Our third person was the Lillian and Frank. Frank and Lillian. This is a couple who were studying motion source again of jobs. People working in a brick company, how they were working. They would monitor and study their movements and their motion to look for the best way and to isolate those movements that are necessary and do away with the ones that are not necessary. So the idea of studying people, being able to arrange people, this should at that particular stage we should have 5, at a particular stage you should have 3. That idea of even the tools they're using to carry the bricks from one spot to another, they would study, and their input to the ideas they brought about raised the production from 1,000 bricks per day in that factory to 2,700 per day. That's a major input. Later on, they also used cameras and clocks to monitor the motion and movements of workers. Those are the 3 contributors: Frederick Taylor, Henri Gantt, and Frank and Lillian. The contributions of the scientific as a whole, what contributions it brought about was it promotes expertise in a company. It also brings about the idea of paying people as per their productivity. The scientific management as a whole also brought about the idea of equipments, looking for the best equipment, bringing the best tools for workers to use so that the productivity can grow. Scientific management also reduced wastage, because people are now maybe like what Taylor did was pay people per piece, so you're able to reduce the time wastage, and you also be able to maximize on the productivity. It's also scientific as a whole has also brought the idea of training workers, so you're able to train workers, get the right people for the right jobs. It has also brought about the idea of harmonizing relationships between managers and their workers. Also brought about the idea of equality, division of responsibilities of workers and the like. Those are the contributions or the advantages. We also have limitations of scientific management or disadvantages. One is that employees become rigid, like machines, that only want to follow or are obedient to the rules or the procedures in the office. So that's a disadvantage. It also reduces creativity, or employees feel that they don't need to take initiative in doing activities in the office. It also assumes that everything can be scientifically measured, and that is a disadvantage. It also overlooks the human desire of job satisfaction. These are some of the disadvantages. The morale is also kind of lowered because everything is there's no flexibility in the office. These are the disadvantages of scientific management. So what we've been doing is scientific. Then we now can go to another administrative approach, which is called classical administrative approach. This is more of concentrating on the objectives of the organization as a whole, not the productivity of individuals like the former, but more of organization, what you do, the objectives, the productivity of the organization as a whole. So it doesn't fall under individuals, but the objectives of a group or an organization. The contributors are four, the major contributors. One is called Henri Fayol. Another one is Max Weber. Another one is Mary Follett. And Chester Barnard. We shall be looking at these people, these individuals, one after another. We start with Max Weber. Max Weber was the main person who brought about what is currently referred to as a bureaucracy, a structured way of doing things in the office. He was at the time of 1800s, and he didn't like the idea of organizations being run in a personal way, where people are loyal to individuals. So when a manager is moved, people get to feel that shouldn't happen. They are more attached to the person. So he was against the idea of managers being so attached personally to their subordinates, that to the case that if they are transferred, or they happen to resign, or they happen to be fired, there happens to be some serious shaking of the activities of the office of the company. So he was more of there should be a formal structure where rules are followed, where procedures are followed, where work is done without regard to personalities. So the idea of being so loyal to individuals is greatly discouraged. A manager can be moved from one department to another, from one branch to another, and everything moves or continues as usual. That was the idea of Max Weber. So he brought about some characteristics. One of them is that there must be a well-defined hierarchy, a clear chain of command of higher positions, who supervises who is at what level. That's a hierarchy. There has to be a structure, a well-defined structure that everyone understands. There should also be division of labor and specialization. People have to be specialized in a particular field to be doing particular tasks. He also brought about the idea of selecting employees with the idea of value, the value they bring to the company. You recruit on merit, you recruit on value. He also brought about the idea of regulations and rules, operating procedures that are now not personal, but they are as per laid down policies in the companies. So if a manager moves, everything continues as it was happening, and adapting becomes very quick. Those are the characteristics. We also have the idea of competence. People should be competent in what they are doing, in the jobs they are given. There should be fairness in promotions, fairness in job assignments. He also brought about the idea of records. There should be recording. Companies should be recording and having files of the activities they are doing. He also brought about channels of communication. There should be a way communication moves from the top to the lowest person in the company. He also was of the idea that there should not be personal relationships between employees and their managers to avoid favorism and biasness. Those are the characteristics. We also have advantages of the bureaucracy. It is leads to consistency in the employees' behavior. It also brings about the idea of strict adherence to procedures. It also eliminates conflicting of duties in the office. Another thing that bureaucracy does is utilization of resources. Each person knows what they are supposed to do in the office. There's no conflicting of duties. It also minimizes frustration because promotions are done on merit. Every person has an experience, has an expertise in what they are doing. So you only do what you've maybe learned in school and is experienced in and is an expert in. So you get to feel that you are encouraged to do what you're doing. It also increases production because of division of labor. People are able to to work in their fields and even grow in progression in their career. It also minimizes wastage. Record keeping makes it easy for planning, even for the future. Yeah, these are the advantages of bureaucracy. It's very common nowadays in government institutions where communication moves from top level in stages to the lowest person. There's recording, division of labor, and there's no case where you find jobs or duties that are conflicting. So those are the advantages. We also have limitations of bureaucracy or disadvantages. One, it is time consuming. It is not flexible, so it's kind of rigid because decisions are rigid. It also doesn't give an environment of participative kind of management. So decisions are made, there's a laid down procedure, so some of these are not maybe a challenge and to bring up the idea of giving your own personal ideas into the management. So it doesn't allow participative management. It also discourages initiative because everything is written down and there are procedures. So as you come in, you kind of fall in line to the procedures that are laid down. It is also expensive because it involves a lot of paperwork. These are the disadvantages of bureaucracy by Max Weber. We now go to the second person, who's called Henri Fayol. He was working in a mining, he was an engineer at a French mining company, and he came with the 14 principles which he developed. These principles are even in use even in current times, and the principles are: there are 14: division of labor, workers to be divided among workers. There is authority and responsibility. There has to be discipline in the office or in the company. There has to be unity of command, where every person has one supervisor, so that there is also no conflict of how activities are done in the office. He also came about with the unity of direction. The manager should have one plan that every employee follows and is able to understand. Henry also brought about the idea of interests of the subordinate should also be in line with the company interests, not in conflict with company interests. He also brought about issues of centralization, where there should be one point where control happens in an organization. Every employee should be knowing who is involved in giving us orders and who is in control. He also brought about the idea of paying people fairly, which is an amount, a remuneration that is comfortable to both the employee and the employer. He also brought about order, equity, stability of tenure, where employees are kind of stable. There should be some stable labor workforce. And they also brought about the idea of initiative, an idea of some innovation of some kind should be allowed for employees to use. They should be encouraged to have some initiative in what they are doing and be given freedom to be innovative. That's as per Henri Fayol. 14 principles. He also encouraged teamwork, unity in strength, and the like. We also have our third person called Mary Follett. Mary Follett encouraged the idea of employees' goals being more of people are treated well. People should not be treated like robots. And she brought about the idea of managers being allowed to encourage employees to participate in decision making of the company. She also brought about the idea of employees and the way they should be organized, and encouraged the idea of people working in groups. That's as per Mary Follett. We also have our fourth person called Barnard. Barnard was the owner of a telephone company. He introduced the idea of cliques or groups which are not formal, and he encouraged that in an organization there should be liberty, where employees can form chamas or groups, social clubs, and be able to, even like people nowadays can visit each other's homes. Those cliques should be encouraged because they're able to maybe bond better. They're able to handle personal issues better. And as they handle personal issues better, when they come to work, they're also able to become very productive. If they have a stressful situation, they should be able to share with their office, and some groups like social clubs should be encouraged, like what people normally call chapas, where you visit each other's homes when one has a child, where you visit each other when you maybe want to go out for an outing. So he encouraged that. He also encouraged managers to encourage employees to not only be working alone, but to also have a balanced life, where you have your personal goals, you also have organizational goals, and you have friends in the office. That's what he basically was trying to bring about. So we have disadvantages. So much has been the advantages. Now we have disadvantages of the classical school of thought as a whole. One of the disadvantages is it has little attention to group dynamics. Another disadvantage is that it assumes that people are purely motivated by economic gains. So classical school of thought as a whole It also emphasizes on a structure where people's needs are ignored. So when we, like Max Weber talks of a structure, is ignoring the idea of needs that an individual may have. Another one is there's no room for participative management, like we said earlier. Bureaucracy doesn't allow participative method of management. Some cases they may cause poor morale in the office. When you work with the bureaucracy, sometimes it may be challenging for some employees. So these are the disadvantages or limitation of the classical school of thought as a whole. When you consider Max Weber especially, you're able to see that some of these are disadvantages to his way of thought and what he contributed to the classical school of thought. Yeah, yeah, that's it. The behavioral school of management is the second thing that we shall look at. So this theory is more of studying human behavior, and what you study how every human behaves in their workplace, what motivates them, what are their expectations, what may bring conflict, basically why people behave the way they behave in companies. That's what the school of management is about. Classical wasn't about behavior, but this one is now about studying human behaviors. And the contributors are three. One is called Douglas McGregor. The other one is Abraham's Maslow and Elton Mayo. So we can start with Douglas. Douglas believed that there are two types of managers. One type of manager is called theory X. The other one is called theory Y. Theory X has a negative mindset. He has a negative mindset about his employees. So he comes out as a manager who believes or assumes that employees are lazy, assumes that employees have to be threatened with, they have to be intimidated, they hate work, they have to be pushed, they have to be monitored. So this kind of manager has a negative. He believes that employees are resistant to change, that they dislike responsibilities, so he has to be tough on them. He appears strict, wants everything done as they say, and if you violate or try to do anything that is not as per how they are reasoning, they assume that you are disrespecting them, or you are belittling them, or you need to be punished. So they start from the point of looking at things from the negative side. So they assume you are untrustworthy as an employee, as their junior. You have to be forced. So these are I believe you have come across this kind of people who have a negative mindset. They don't even want to have to reason with you. So they are very tough on you, and they are called theory X. They use punishment as a way of proving to you that you've done something wrong. So they have to monitor what you are doing because they assume you are lazy. So they will be very quick to quarrel you, their tone is high, so even the tone they are using is very high. That kind of manager is called theory X. So he starts from, he can easily get angered, very irritated, by assuming that you are lazy and you have a very hard time explaining. This is called the theory X kind of manager. Then we have number 2, which is the theory Y. This person is now different, opposite of theory X. Theory Y assumes that you love what you are doing, that you are trustworthy. Theory Y manager assumes that you are self-motivated, that you have direction, that you are they can't use threats. They assume that you are responsible and that you know what you're doing, that you actually love your work. To them, work is something that is satisfactory to them. So they also assume that you are also taking things as they are taking. So they assume work is like play. They are jovial. They believe that their juniors can use imagination. Their employees can solve problems creatively. They assume that employees have initiative, they're innovative. So this is the person who is more of a positive mindset towards his or her employees. We call them the Y type of manager. So which one are you? Ask yourself, which one are you? Are you theory X or theory Y? That is Douglas McGregor. Then you also have the second person, who is Elton Mayo. He worked with a group of engineers, and they were trying to see whether there was some increase in productivity if the lighting of the rooms where employees are working was maybe better. They also checked the ventilation, studied if the ventilation of a place where employees are, if the window sizes are better, if you give privileges for people to leave and come in wherever they want, whether there was some increase in productivity. If you give people free lunches, rest periods, pay them at different levels and work days, and the outcome was that productivity actually increased. When you give people some freedom, put them in rooms that are well ventilated, rooms that have enough light. The sizes are also, they are having room for movement, they are not squeezed. Productivity of those employees would greatly increase. That was as per Elton Mayo. Then you have number 3 person, who is Abraham Maslow. He is known to have come up with the hierarchy or structure of needs. He developed the need theory and came up with 3 assumptions: that human needs are never fully satisfied. You never fully satisfy your need. Once you fulfill one, another one comes. He also assumed that that the way you behave is actually purposeful and is motivated by some need to satisfy a need. He also assumed that there is a hierarchy of or a structure where needs are on priority basis or by way of importance, and he came up with the structure we shall be looking at later on. So the needs are broken down into into specific areas. One is the physiological need. This is more of food, shelter, and clothes. We call them basic needs: food, shelter, and clothes. Then we have number two, which is the safety needs. This is more of security, stability, protection. So once you fulfill the basic needs, which are physiological, food, shelter, and clothes, the next thing that comes is more of safety. You look for a way of being stable, having some security of some kind, maybe freedom. So you want to have some, if it is financial stability, you want to be stable financially. That comes as number two. Then number three is belonging. So you now look for friends. You maybe want to be associated with people who are at your level. So you make friends. You also get to have a family. That comes as number three, belonging and love needs. After that, what comes is now esteem needs. So this is more of self-confidence, where you maybe want to have some status, some reputation. So this comes as esteem needs. After that, we have now the last top part, which is the self-actualization level. So it's more of finding yourself as an individual. This is the structure. So you first start by dealing with the basic needs, then come to safety needs. After fulfilling safety needs, you now come to belonging and love needs. Then after that, esteem needs. Then you have to now come to where you want to achieve your personal full potential, including coming up with creative activities. This is at this level. That's according to Abraham Maslow, which is even being used in current times. And then we have a question here. According to Abraham Maslow's theory, safety is one of the key needs that motivates employees to work. Outline 4 ways a manager may satisfy the needs of employees in relation to safety. So this is a question. So in relation to safety, number one, the manager should offer job security for his employees or our employees. Another way is through giving insurance covers. Another one is offering safe working conditions. So another way of making sure your employees are secure and are safe as they work is to maybe give them pension plans where they save some money, maybe NSSF. Another one is through coming up with agreements in case they want salary increment, in case they need bonuses, you come up with an agreement. In case they need allowances, and you actually fulfill them. And also coming up with safety laws. If they're working in a workshop, they maybe need to be wearing safety clothes, if they need to be wearing helmets and the like. These are some of the ways a manager can apply to ensure that his or her employees are safe. So we also have Adam Smith theory. So the theory is more about the economy, issues to do with the economy, the idea of free markets, private property rights, competition, studying how the economy grows, global economy, economies of a country, how they grow and the like. So it's more of that, and the theory has 4 concepts. One is division of labor. Another one is the labor theory of value. Another one is a free market philosophy. And the fourth one, which is very common, is a GDP, gross domestic product. So we start with the first one, division of labor. The idea is for a company to have people or employees each doing a role that is repetitive. And if each is doing a repetitive task over a period of time, they become specialists in that field. And as they do that, they're also able to come up with innovations, ideas, technological changes, and with time they become problem solvers. And with time, productivity also improves because each is doing something repetitive. With the inclusion of innovation, with the inclusion of specialization, productivity improves. That is a division of labor. We also have number 2, labor theory of value. So this is more about giving value to a product, more value to a product that also takes time to produce. If a product is taking very less time to produce, the price may also become less. But if the product is taking a lot of time, the labor inclusion is also high. That now means the product also, the price has to go up because of issues of also costs and the issue of also making some reasonable profit. And so value is attached to the costs of labor when producing products and services. And as competition is growing, businesses compete. And as they compete, each is trying to reduce the cost of producing that product or that service. And that's what that competition now makes the productivity to be high, as each company is trying to reduce costs and producing to their maximum. Then number 3 is free market philosophy, where governments should not be involved in doing direct business. The only thing they can do is to create an environment, a conducive environment where businesses can thrive. So the idea is to have an invisible hand controlling the economy, but not directly getting involved in day-to-day activities of businesses like controlling prices. So the idea of controlling prices should be discouraged. Governments should allow the supply and demand forces to be the ones dictating the price of products and services in any region. So that's what we mean by free market philosophy. Then we have GDP. This is the idea of knowing that the economy is a system of interconnected markets or interconnected system where production and consumption are in exchange. And as you study the production and consumption of products and services, you're able to know whether you are influencing the economy positively or influencing the economy negatively. So that's what we mean by GDP. And with time, as you are studying and assessing the growth, you're able to identify areas that maybe need improvement and also be able to spot areas that are doing very well and maybe come up with policies that are able to maximize productivity. Those are the 4 concepts as generated by Adam Smith. Yes. Then we have factors that affect management. There are 2, internal and external. Internal factors that affect management may include issues that involve the business itself from within, like the human resource in that company. or in that department. That is an internal issue. The plans that you're doing as a company, the policies you have as a company, the equipments you have as a company, these factors affect management. Issues of interrelationships between employees will affect the management of a company internally. Issues of how the company's structure is organized, issues of code of conduct, issues of how operations are done in departments, how workers challenge each other in the departments will affect management internally. Issues of also how you manage your finances, the strength of a business economically or financially is also a major internal factor. Also how you market your company, whether you have in-house marketers or you do outsource. These are internal factors that greatly affect a company or an institution from within. Then we have external factors. These are factors that you cannot change as a business or a company. They affect the business externally, and you may not have the power or the way of influencing them. One could be technological changes, so you need to adjust your business or your company to compete and to be relevant technologically. Others could be political factors. If there are political issues in an area, that will greatly affect your business. Customers may also change, and they maybe now come and start demanding something else, like a product or a service, so you need to adjust accordingly to remain relevant. Another external factor are government taxes, maybe high or low, that will greatly affect your business or company. Another is the rules and the laws that are affecting your business, labor laws and the like. They will greatly affect your business externally. Yeah, those are the external factors. External factors affecting management. Then we have managerial functions or principles of management. So for you to be a very good manager, you need to be very good in planning, organizing, leading or directing, staffing, and also learning how to control. You need to be very good at controlling your team. So when planning each of these, we will be doing them as a topic in this same channel. So planning involves choosing goals or actions that you need to pursue and looking for ways that you will ensure that you organize your actions so that you're able to achieve those goals. So that idea of choosing an objective or an action to pursue is what we refer to as planning. Number 2 is organizing. Organizing is a way of looking for a way of how you will work on the relationships amongst your workers, to organize them in a way that they're able to meet the objectives or the goals of the company. We also have number 3, which is leading or directing. You will be learning how to articulate a vision, how to inspire, how to motivate employees so that the vision you have as a leader is achieved by your team. We also have staffing. We will also be learning how to recruit, how to select employees for vacant positions in a company or a department. We shall also be looking at controlling, ways of evaluating and reviewing whether goals have been met, and identifying areas that are maybe doing well and areas that need improvement. We also look at those areas that maybe activities have deviated. You're able to also create ways of how you can mitigate the challenges that you are having with your team, so that you're able to monitor and be in a position to make decisions that will be to the standard of what you want to achieve as a company. Yeah, those are the issues we'll be learning.